From the base of the Rampart Range of the Rocky Mountains, two blue-collar programs are ready to collide for the final time in the Mountain West Conference. Fresh off a bye week, the Boise State Broncos hope to pick up a critical win on the road and press forward with their dreams of another berth to the college football playoffs. With a history of being a thorn in the side of the Boise State Broncos. The Bronco Roundup pregame show starts now.
Now, a special presentation from the KTVB Newsroom. Bronco Roundup Game Day starts now.
We welcome you inside Falcon Stadium in beautiful Colorado Springs, Colorado, where we are standing 7,200 feet above sea level. Thanks so much for joining us here. I'm Jordan Smith. So much to look forward to here tonight as Boise State opens up Mountain West play against a tough Air Force Falcons squad. This is the 13th and likely final time these two teams will square off before Boise State departs for the Pac-12 next season. It's going to be a great one here tonight. Boise State really feeling themselves after that throttling of Eastern Washington, 51-14, to open up the home regular season slate. The offense finally finding their mojo, feeling really good after sort of a disappointing start to the season in USF. Some of the key players there, Maddox Madsen, having an absolute performance on the blue, tying a career high with 307 passing yards on the day. It was one of those games where it just felt like everything was finally starting to click for the Broncos, and they were able to sort of relax a little bit. The pressure was off a little bit after that loss to South Florida, and they could go back to doing the things that they know best how to do. Now, coming into this game, of course, the tail of the tape, it's going to be a battle of the run game. Everybody knows Air Force loves to run the ball. Boise State, that's in their DNA as well. They just have two different styles of doing it. Boise State, they like to run it right up the gut. They like to come right through the tackles and kind of do a little bit of trickeration. They love some of those outside reverses. And so far on the season, Boise State, 450 yards on the ground after a monster game against Eastern Washington. Dylan Riley leads the team with 143 yards. Tyre Gaines right behind him at 142. Now their opponents on the other side of the ball tonight, Air Force, they've collected 533 yards and averaged 266 on the ground per game. That's the 12th best in the NCAA. It's an offense that's designed to chew clock, frustrate the opponent, and really wear down a defense. Boise State, they're very familiar with that, as is Spencer Danielson. He knows that the offense, it was a great showing against Eastern Washington. It is a whole nother battle when it comes to the Air Force Falcons. Here's what he said about this game coming into the week.
Sire Gaines, baby, Sire Gaines!
They're not just calling plays, they are calling to attack you. And defensively, we have to do a great job playing with great discipline. We got to make sure we do our job consistently, because the second you don't, it's not going to be a 3-yard gain, it's going to be a touchdown.
And they know all too well about that. Air Force has definitely shown how dangerous and deceptive that beloved triple option attack can be. This is the eighth time Spencer Danielson has faced off against Air Force. So again, as impressive as it was for Boise State to show up against Eastern Washington and really relieve the fan base that, hey, this team is still very capable of finding the end zone and keeping people out of it. They've got a battle set ahead of them here tonight in Colorado Springs. So we'll talk about Boise State's defense, the stats they were able to put up against Eastern Washington. But right now, we want to introduce Austin Parr back in the studio there at KTVB with a look at what this triple option is. Austin, I know that you studied this all week. What did you find out?
Yeah, Jordan, it's one of the most complex offenses that anybody has ran in a very long time. The Air Force Falcons have been running it since 1982, and there's a big reason why they run it. It's successful, even in a big-time loss against Utah State last week, 266 yards on the ground. The biggest thing is it's very complex and it's very hard to stop. I tried to break that down as best as I could. No, you tell me how I did. Take a listen. Facing Air Force is like sitting down at a chessboard while trying to solve a puzzle at the same time. Every piece matters, every move counts, and if just one piece is out of place, the Falcons will make you pay. It's the triple option, a system Air Force has perfected for decades. 3 possible ball carriers on every snap. First option, the bruising fullback right up the gut. Second, the quarterback keeps it. And finally, third, he can pitch it out to a back in space. And by the time a defender commits, it's already too late. Defending it isn't about guessing, it's about discipline. Each defender has one job, whether it's the dive, the quarterback, or the pitch. One mistake, one player out of position, and Air Force can turn it into a touchdown.
Elite teams respond to adversity. There's going to be adversity on Saturday night on both sides. I mean, Air Force is going to make their plays. They're going to have big-time moments in the game. Who's going to respond to adversity the best way on Saturday night? Championship teams know how to do that. And so those are things we need to grow in this week. Obviously, tackling is a huge part we need to continue to fix.
For Boise State, it's not about just tackling. It's about trust. The defensive line has to eat up blocks. The linebackers, well, they have to stay disciplined in the middle. And the safeties, they're the last line of defense, making sure that the third option doesn't break loose.
Everybody has an extremely important job. Like every single corner, every single safety coming down, every single nickel has a huge part in playing the quarterback, playing the pitch, forcing certain things in certain plays. And so it really is a team effort when it comes to stopping the triple option.
It's not just the big plays you have to worry about, it's the grind. Air Force loves to bleed the clock, stringing together 12 and 14 play drives. Last week, they piled up 266 yards on the ground and added another 179 yards through the air. When they're rolling, they don't just score points, they control the entire game.
The lack of possessions is difficult going into the game. They do take long drives, but on our end, we could go out and take the same length of a drive if we went 13 plays deep. And it's one of those things like we don't have, like I just mentioned, we don't have room for error. Like every possession, we have to go score. And I don't know if that adds pressure. I think it just, the intentionality of everything that we're doing goes up.
That puts pressure on the Broncos offense. If Boise State can score quickly, they flip the pressure back on Air Force. But if they can't get off the field on defense, the Falcons can drain the clock, frustrate you, and simply wear you down. Air Force runs the same puzzle every year. The tricky part? Nobody ever solves it completely. On Saturday night in Colorado Springs, the Broncos' championship hopes might just come down to whether they can stay disciplined, stay patient, and keep the Falcons from flipping the board. As you can see there, one of the more complex offenses, and what head coach Spencer Danielson did say too as well for Air Force, is it's what they run outside of that offense. If that triple option is rolling, it opens up the play action pass. It opens up every part of their offense that they want to run, which was on full display in their Week 1 victory. Struggled a bit against Utah State, but they still put up big-time numbers. It is one of the more complex offenses I've ever had to try to break down or attempted to break down, and hopefully the Boise State defense has the answers to the puzzle come this afternoon. But hey, Jordan, like we talked about, this is one of the more critical games for Boise State, and what they have to do is stop that triple option early, because if they don't, the offense won't get the football back and they won't have chances to score. It'll limit the opportunities for the Broncos offense. And like Maddox Madsen said, not a lot of pressure, but just more the intensity kind of amplifies a bit against this triple option.
Yeah, one of the more critical things that this team has to do, the defense specifically, they've got to force a couple of early 3-and-outs or quick drives to get Air Force's offense off the field, because I think it was Tom Scott earlier this morning who was telling us that during one of those losses Boise State faced against Air Force, they only got off about 50 plays that game because they never got on the field. The Air Force is so good at bleeding the clock down all the way. They set it to about 12 or 10 seconds on the play clock. It's not a very fast-moving team. They're just very excellent at clock management. It's certainly going to be something that's going to test the patience of Boise State's defense, who is fresh off of a very impressive showing against Eastern Washington. Again, the season opener I don't think was indicative of how good this team could be, and they really got back into a rhythm against Eastern Washington. they really had their day in the sun. Jaden Mickey and Ty Benefield, that duo, they were on fire. They collected 16 total tackles, and Mickey had 7 of those just by himself. And it doesn't really matter kind of who was getting the ball. These guys were just unapologetically physical on the field, whether that's a quarterback, receiver, anybody who really wanted to try to make a move. Now, Jaden Mickey also forced the first turnover of the season for Boise State with a fumble recovery on Eastern's first drive of the game. We'll have more on that in just a second, but this was an all-around effort. The defensive line doing their job, bottling up the run game, and they closed those gaps. 2 things that they're going to have to do if they want to succeed against this Air Force option tonight. Now, there is much more on the offense, the defensive side of things. We'll take a step back from this because there is so much more to Colorado Springs than just the than the football team. It's the beautiful weather and, of course, the rugged outdoors. I had some time to kind of roam around the city and kind of see what made this place so amazing. Take a look at what I found.
No matter which corner of colorful Colorado you come to explore, the views are something out of a movie. Colorado Springs is no exception. About an hour south of Denver, the grassy plains morph into red rock. Every turn in the road somehow seems to introduce a new face of the Rocky Mountains. The city itself is fine and good, downtown lined with great restaurants and local businesses, but the appeal of the Springs is not civilization.
And one of the biggest attractions we found out here has been the Garden of the Gods. It's a 300-million-year-old rock formation that used to be a part of a mountain range, and it's bringing in people from all over looking to get their steps in.
Like Idaho, this state has a way of luring people in and getting them hooked on the outdoors. Colorado is just an extreme version of that.
I would say every single person I've met so far has had some kind of addiction to exercise in one way or another.
Hannah Shields is one of them. Her exercise of choice, marathons.
We're going to be running up the ascent of Pikes Peak Mountain, which is over 14,000 feet of elevation. It's going to be a journey.
They were running this trail effortlessly. I was out of breath just walking.
Camel's Back is all nice and good, but this is 6,600 feet elevation. This is not for the faint of heart.
Nestled up right against the mountains, the Air Force Academy, home to 4,000 cadets, the men and women committed to serving our country, learning the ropes with $1 million view down below.
And while this place does have $1 million views pretty much everywhere you look, it's also home to some pretty sporadic weather that we're kind of seeing out here on the field. It was sunshine and warm. It was shorts weather. And now we've got some clouds rolling in. We've checked in on the weather radar, and you can see on your screen there is going to be a little bit of action coming through Colorado Springs right about the start of kickoff. Some wet weather probably to start this game. Not that that matters to 2 teams who really specialize in running the football, but definitely something we're keeping an eye on. It does look as though that lightning is steering clear for now, but definitely knock on wood for that. Now, we do want to talk a little bit about that defense. Jaden Mickey, we talked about how good he was against Eastern Washington. Just an absolute stud. I mean, he went in there, 7 tackles. It was his first career collegiate start, waiting in the wings for 3 years. He was a transfer from Notre Dame, just waiting to get his shot. And if you didn't know his name coming into the season, you should probably get to know it, because after that showing against Eastern Washington, he is likely going to find a lot more playing time and make a huge impact for the Boise State team. But despite how incredible his performance was, forcing that first turnover of the season for the Broncos, all of those tackles, putting a hat on a hat any chance he could, he didn't really feel like he played that great.
Honestly, I wasn't satisfied. There's a lot of work to do. I feel like there's plays left out there. You know, I didn't hit him hard enough. That play, I could have made it faster, or I could have got my hands on that ball, stuff like that. So I think just, like I said, staying focused on the mission and not the moment.
Well, you can see why Coach Danielson likes this kid so much. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He's a fantastic athlete on the field. And Coach Danielson knew that before he was at Notre Dame. In fact, Spencer Danielson tried to recruit Jaden Mickey out of high school.
We recruited him out of high school, and so I got to know him really well coming out of high school. And then obviously getting back to know him when he was in the portal, leaving Notre Dame. And he's a phenomenal young man. I mean, and I say that a lot about our guys because I believe that is our team, and loves football, about the team, not about what can you do for me, how can I come help the team. I want to join a team where I can have a huge impact.
And interestingly enough, during his time at Notre Dame, although he wasn't a starter for the Irish, he did get fairly familiar at defending the triple option. He had to do it twice against Navy, so that's some experience Boise State is going to rely on. They only have 3 starters on defense coming into this game that have played against Air Force before. So they might be leaning on number 20 in blue to help them out. He said it's all about staying disciplined, keeping your eyes on the prize, on the ball. You can't get distracted. Otherwise, that 3 to 4 yard gain is going to turn into a touchdown. Now, we'll send things back to Austin Parr, who not only broke down the triple option attack for Air Force, but also that defensive scheme that they're going to bring into this. And Austin, these guys have some monsters on the defensive line.
Yeah, big time, Jordan. Jaden Mickey is going to be a player we're going to keep an eye on all game long, because when you talk about a defensive player that has to be disciplined, it's the safeties and it's the nickels for Boise State when you're facing such a crazy offense, complex, difficult, insert whatever adjective you would like for that triple option. But on the other side of the football for the Falcons, like Jordan was talking about, they have some absolute beasts on the front of the defensive line. It all starts with them. They're going to want to try to stop the run for Boise State. So take a look at just how big these guys are.
3rd down from the 7. Barnes breaks a tackle, shifty move, and gets his way into the end zone for the first score of the night.
Air Force may be known for their triple option, but last week it wasn't their offense making headlines. It was the defense, and not in a good way. Utah State gassed the Falcons for 469 of total yards in a 49-30 win, handing Air Force its first conference loss of the season. Even in the loss, there were standout performances. Linebacker Blake Fletcher led the team with 11.
Find ways to create negative plays to get you behind the sticks. They do a good job taking the ball away, and they're going to be very, very sound. Got a lot of respect for what they do defensively, and no different special teams wise. They're gonna be right. They're not going to make stupid mistakes. That's not what Air Force does, and I got the utmost respect for how they play this game. And so we know in all 3 phases they're going to be on the attack, and we've got to find a way to be on the attack in all 3 phases as well.
That's where Boise State hopes to shine. Quarterback Maddox Madsen and the strong rushing attack of Sair Gaines, Malik Sherrod, and Dylan Riley will look to exploit the holes in this defense. The key for the Broncos? Take advantage of everything Air Force gives them, because the Falcons' triple option is designed to limit opportunities for the offense. The Broncos must force them out of their comfort zone and force them to defend every inch of the field.
They're super precise in what they do. Very often will you catch them out of position, out of gaps. That's very simple. That's the one thing. They play very standard coverages and stuff like that, fronts. But like I just said, they don't make very many mistakes, and that's kind of what we've talked about. There's not very much room for error on our offensive side and the defensive side, and so that's how we have to attack them.
Make no mistake, the Falcons aren't easy to move. Their defensive front features a 6'7" defensive end in Daniel Groby, along with 2 6'4" defensive ends in Grady Forsyth and Jack Franklin. Linebackers Jackson Adams and Isaac Hubert rank near the top of the Mountain West Conference in sacks thus far, making the quarterback's job a constant challenge. For Boise State, it's about efficiency and patience. The offensive line must open lanes for the rushers, which gives Madsen time to make reads and find receivers downfield. Every play counts, because the Falcons' defense is built to take opportunities away. Air Force's defense is talented, disciplined, and tough. But last week's cracks at Utah State show a path for the Broncos. Strike early, capitalize on every chance, and force the Falcons off balance. That's Boise State's best chance at controlling the game, because the triple option is an offense not meant to play from behind. And hey, Maddox Madsen, one of the best quarterbacks in the Mountain West, in all of the country at protecting the football on the road. We'll have more from that coming up. And the more he protects the football, it opens up the rushing lanes for that 3-headed monster. But one of the best stories so far this season for Boise State has been in that backfield. Dylan Riley has burst onto the scene as the Broncos' leading rusher. Yes, by 1 yard. But But yes, he is the leading rusher. While his play has been electric, hey, the emotion behind his journey has made his start even more powerful. In just 2 games, Riley has racked up 143 yards on the ground, including that 77-yard touchdown against Eastern Washington. But for Riley, this season is about much more than football after losing his father before the season began. So every carry now carries deeper meaning.
Dylan Riley, I start crying talking about him because he's just what he's been through, and not just what he's been through, but guys, he has been unwavering with his team. And to your point, BJ, I'm sure there might be moments where he's like, man, I'm the third running back, but I'm doing a really good job. I've never felt that one bit from him. Hey, coach, how many times has he come in my office and asked for more carries? Never. And seeing him unwaver as a team, never been late to anything, hasn't taken practice off because of anything. And I would be the first, if he said, coach, I can't practice, I'd be like, I get it, brother. Never once. Didn't miss a workout, right? Obviously took time when it first happened to go home and be with his family. But since he's been back, I have the utmost, I did even prior to because he's a phenomenal kid, but I have the utmost respect for that young man.
An absolutely inspiring story that Riley has. Just a small glimpse into it as he's emerged as one of the top backs for the Broncos thus far. Tonight, Riley carries more than the football as he leads out the Boise Broncos. He'll lead them out carrying the Dan Paul hammer, the program's symbol of blue-collar toughness and pride. A perfect reflection of the player and the person he's become. It's just one of those stories that you grasp onto. Everybody will have their eyes locked in on number 24 and how many carries he will get tonight in the backfield. An easy guy to root for in that Broncos rushing attack. A bit of a three-headed monster, but you hope that Dylan Riley continues to get the carries that he's been getting so far this season. A 77-yard touchdown. I know Bronco Nation would love to see that maybe on the first opening drive from that Boise State offense, looking to take advantage of those big boys up front for the Falcons defense.
Yeah, and you know, Austin, it's just one of those stories. It's like, how can you not root for this guy? He has been working his tail off all season long. Everyone's been talking about Sire Gaines and Malik Sherrod transferring in 2 incredible backs, and that hasn't deterred number 24 at all. He's put his head down and worked, and the adversity that he's had to overcome losing his father. It's one of those stories that just touches your heart, and it reminds you just how special this sport can be because, you know, there's 50, 60 guys on a football team. They're all there for 50 to 60 different reasons and different backgrounds, and it's such an incredible part of this game. All of these guys, especially Coach Danielson, have surrounded him and just filled him with support, and he is looking sharp ever since. So we do want to talk about the other offensive player that's really stood out to us lately, and that's number 5, Chris Marshall. Number 5 was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, and man, he has taken off. He did it against Eastern Washington on the blue, and boy, it was one of those performances, 4 catches for 132 yards, and it felt so great and vindicated to see him succeed. He started his career at Texas A&M, transferred to Ole Miss. Neither of those schools worked out. He then went to a junior college, trying to kind of figure out his football career, and Boise State picked him up, and then he had to deal with an injury. So after all of that, here he is this season, finally starting to break through. It seems like he's found a great system, and Coach Danielson thinks the world of this guy.
And he came out and played really well. And I pray that that continues to build into him. He's a great young man. I love being around. I love him being a part of this team. And if he can continue to grow, which I believe he will, I mean, he's one of the top receivers we've ever had.
And that breakthrough game against Eastern Washington, man, that had to feel good for him watching. And he still hasn't had a touchdown since that first game against USF on the second drive of the season. But it kind of feels like he's due. He's got quite a size advantage over the Air Force defensive backs. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, as we mentioned a couple of times, this is the final time these two teams will likely square off with Boise State moving over to the Pac-12. I want to bring Austin Parr back for this because it's such a unique Mountain West Conference opponent that Boise State goes against. It's one of those ones where you don't really gloss over it as a fan. You look at that game, you kind of circle it because you don't really know how it's going to shake out. Air Force has beaten some talented Broncos teams throughout the year, Austin.
Yeah, Jordan, they've just been a thorn in the Broncos' thigh every time, seemingly, that they come to town. It's one of those, oh no, here comes the Air Force Falcons and that daunting triple option like we broke it down earlier. They're just such a tough football team. You know what they bring to the table, and somehow yet every single year they're almost impossible to stop. I mean, you feel like this team is ready, especially coming out of a bye week and then also coming off a game at Eastern Washington. I know it was Eastern Washington, but a game in which they played Eastern Washington gave them all-time confidence. You expect them to be ready for this football game. This is their final matchup before they leave the Mountain West Conference. And hey, if they want to go three-peat before they leave the Mountain West Conference, you got to win this game on the road. You got to be ready for the triple option. Everybody's got to be disciplined on defense. And hopefully it's not a thorn in the Broncos' thigh. If they get out to an early start, Jordan, I will say that the triple option is not built for it's not an offense that's built to come from behind. It takes a lot for a triple option to be successful. It's more of an offense that plays with a lead. So hopefully Boise State can get out to a quick lead and kind of hold on to it as they look for a big-time statement road victory. Conference opener number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's that defense, you mentioned it, it's got to lock in, and those mental mistakes can't happen. Got to keep penalties limited, and Spencer Danielson talked about it. He said, you know, the Falcons, every time we play these guys, it doesn't matter what their record is that season, they give Boise State their very best, and that's kind of why it's such a remarkable matchup. I don't know that it's one Boise State fans are going to particularly miss after it's all said and done, and once the Pac-12 transition happens for Boise State, but it is one that's kind of become a special thing between these two teams. And that's kind of what we wanted to explore. In today's Broncos Roundup, we take a look back at the matchups between these two schools in the 15-year run Boise State's had in the Mountain West. Both of these teams, these games, when they come together, many of them turn into instant classics.
Bronco Roundup Rewind, sponsored by your local Toyota dealers.
Throughout Boise State's 15-year tenure in the Mountain West, few conference opponents have ruffled their feathers like the Air Force Falcons.
Air Force getting tricky on the special teams. Turns out you shouldn't mess around with special teams in the Broncos.
The teams met for the first time in 2011 on the Blue. Kellen Moore and company held the Falcons' unique option attack at bay, winning 37-26. But the triple option would soon get the best of the blue and orange. In 2014, Air Force stunned Bronco Nation, toppling Boise State 28-14 at Falcon Stadium, a Broncos team who, by the way, would go on to win the Fiesta Bowl that year. Jay Ajayi held to just 63 yards that game. In 2015, the Falcons made themselves at home on the Blue, amassing 629 total yards of offense on their way to a 37-30 victory in Albertson Stadium. 2016, the nightmare continued, this time on a memorable goal line stand. The Broncos drove to the 1-yard line deep in the fourth quarter. Quarterback Brett Rippon tried to punch it in. The Air Force defense punched it out, forcing a turnover that clinched the Falcons' third consecutive win over the Broncos and knocked Boise State out of the conference championship conversation. But since that moment, the Broncos are 6-1 against the Falcons and winners of the last 2 meetings. In the 12 games these two programs have played, the average margin of victory, 12 points. As Boise State waves farewell to the Mountain West this season, it's unclear if these two teams will meet again. But Broncos fans will long remember the fight Air Force would bring to the gridiron and the sting of that triple option. And man, I was at that game at 2015 at the Blue, Austin. It was one of those games. I came back from college. I was just visiting for the weekend, and it was such a stunner for me to watch that, because growing up, it was Boise State did not lose at the Blue, and they did not lose to conference opponents on the Blue. It was just one of those weird things. And as the game kept going, it was like watching the rest of the fans grow nervous and frustrated watching Air Force just pile it on. They broke out to a huge lead. Boise State did try to claw back, but ultimately Air Force got the best of them. But it was such a bizarre team to play against. I'm a little bit sad that it's over, but again, I don't think most Bronco fans are going to miss having to line up against that offense, Austin.
Oh, absolutely not, especially what they've done to Boise State over the last many, many years. I want to ask you this, Jordan. Scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the panic meter is for Bronco Nation with this being first conference road game?
You know, I think it's one of those games. I don't know if Broncos fans know what to feel coming into this, because the season is still so early. Both of these teams still trying to figure out their identity, right? They both suffered pretty bad losses. Air Force lost to Utah State. Boise State lost to USF, and they both beat teams that they were supposed to beat. So I don't know if it's early enough or it's late enough in the season, I should say, to kind of get a reading on how this is going to play out, because it's already unpredictable when it's late in the season in November. Boise State might be a top 25 team. It doesn't matter to Air Force at all. I mean, they just come in and they can kind of just do their thing. Everybody knows the run is coming, and it's still somehow difficult to stop. So, kind of what we were talking about earlier, it's just kind of one of those games that you see on the calendar. You kind of hold your breath a little bit and just hope that it's one of those games the Broncos can jump out in front, because these Air Force defenders, and that they can just suffocate an offense. In that game, remember, Jay Ajayi went to the NFL. He won a Super Bowl. They held him to 63 yards. It was just unbelievable, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, 63 yards for one of the better college football backs that's entered, the college football ranks in a long time, besides, of course, Ashton Genty. But, hey, we'll say maybe 6, 7 on the panic meter. Hey, shout out to Sam, who's out there running that camera. He keeps bringing up Chris Marshall, and this is what I wanted to say to you. You can't teach size, obviously, and he's such an explosive wide receiver, a guy who can really get this offense running early with some explosive plays. I said earlier that he would challenge Maddox Madsen for the Mountain West Conference Offensive Player of the Year. Hot take, no hot take, what say you?
I don't think that's a hot take. I think that is, he may have to compete with the likes of Sire Gaines and Dylan Riley, but I think Chris Marshall, it is just untapped potential. I think the sky is the ceiling for this guy, and so does the rest of the team, too. I mean, like we said, he came out of high school as a 5-star recruit, went to 2 SEC schools. I mean, the talent is obviously there. It's just been a matter of finding a school and an opportunity and a quarterback that can get him the ball on a regular basis. And I think he's found that here. And I think that we saw that just a little bit. We saw a glimmer of that against Eastern Washington. It does feel like the floodgates are about to break wide open early on in this season. I don't know. I think you might have that prediction. We should save this clip for later on. Should he actually hold that up later on this season, Austin? Well, let me ask you this. Who else on this offense do you think that Broncos need to lean on to get this win tonight? Because, while the passing attack is going to be great for exploiting Air Force's defense, Chris Marshall's just one guy.
That's a fact. I mean, I don't think we've talked enough about what Ben Ford has been doing in this early on in this regular season as well. 2 touchdown catches against Eastern Washington, a breakout performance for him. I believe he had 4 catches in the game, and he had 4 total catches in his entire career, his entire Boise State career. So obviously Ben Ford is another guy who's got to step up for this offense, for this Broncos offense. But hey, they've got to lean on the man who does not turn the ball over, and that is quarterback Maddox Madsen. Did you know that he has 220 pass attempts on the road without an interception? That is 16 attempts away from the Mountain West all-time record at 236, which is something he could eclipse tonight. I don't have any wood near me, but I can't really knock on wood. But let's hope I didn't jinx him right there, as Maddox Madsen looks to become one of the most efficient quarterbacks in Mountain West Conference history. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable, the journey that this guy had. I mean, coming out of high school in Utah, he didn't have a lot of college offers, right? I mean, this was a guy who was overlooked by most colleges because of his size, and he comes into Boise State, a blue-collar program that says, if you can prove it to us, we'll give you your shot. And he put his head down and went to work. And look at him now. I mean, he's the most trusted quarterback in this system that we've seen in the last couple of years. Boise State has had a couple of frustrating run-ins with trying to figure out the quarterback identity. They had Dalen Green for a while. They had Hank Bachmeier before that. You know, and it was just kind of, when are we going to get the next guy that can take care of the ball in the ways that we remember during the good old days of being ranked in the top 10, the top 15.
Exactly.
And Maddox has turned out to be that guy. We did see his confidence shake a little bit early on in the season in South Florida. Again, I think you've got to put an asterisk next to that. It was a difficult environment. It was just a game that I think we can call it a one-off for this team this season. Maddox, man, he looked comfortable against Eastern, and I was watching him on the field just a few minutes ago. He looks locked in and ready to go.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, Jordan, for that first game, that opener at USF, was he didn't turn the ball over. I know he dropped a snap, which was kind of fluky in a sense. He almost just took his eye off of it, but still didn't throw an interception in that football game. I felt like a lot of Bronco Nation was maybe overreacting and saying he didn't have the size to play the quarterback position, yada, yada, yada. He goes out against Eastern and definitely proves all the naysayers wrong. So Boise State's got to lean on Maddox tonight. He's got to get them going early and often, because if Maddox is locked in, just like you just spoke about, if he's locked in early, everybody else is going to have a big-time game, including the wide receivers, but also the tight end. You got to feed the big boys.
That's right. You got to feed the man. I mean, he's been a proven target. We're talking about Matt Lautner, right? I mean, he has just been unbelievable. He's been kind of a quiet, reliable target for Maddox to find throughout the years here. And he's coming into this game, honestly, it seems like he's been underutilized. Maybe that's got to be a part of the scheme, get him going, especially against a really good Air Force team. But, I mean, Tom was talking about it earlier this morning. This is an Air Force team whose secondary not very good against the pass, so could be an opportunity to see him jump off the page as well. And, you know, with that USF loss, too, I just think it's in the nature of fans and sports analysts and everybody. If it's a loss that out of character for a team, you always look at the quarterback, right? He's the guy who touches the ball every play. But, again, I think that we can all take a step back. Rest assured, we've seen him against Eastern. We've seen him in practice. We've talked to him. I mean, that's not even in the back of his mind. He's let it go. He's moved on. The team totally trusts what Maddox is going to do, and I gotta be honest, they look pretty fired up. They seem like they've got a lot of confidence in him coming into this one tonight. And I will say this too, we haven't really talked about the uniform combination coming into this one. Austin.
They look
Boise
good.
State
They look
in the
real good.
icy whites with the blue helmet.
I'm really loving these fits. These threads
you might
look
have
good.
The script ahead of you there. Oh yeah, I mean, I think the record, they're 36-16 wearing this uniform combination. We've seen him in the black uniforms against Air Force, the orange, but coming out in the icy whites with it looks like a chrome blue helmet. It looks super cool. I think the team went back into the locker room as we're watching this behind us here, so we can't show you that anymore, but man, it looks good, and I think look good, feel good, play good, right, Austin?
Look good, feel good, play good. Look at us on camera. We look super professional. That's why we're crushing it on this pregame show. That's what it's all about. You said icy whites. That's a great way to describe this uniform combo. White shoes, white pants, white gloves, white sleeves, jerseys, the whole 9 yards with the blue helmet. This might be one of my favorites. Might not be a fan favorite, but they haven't worn this jersey since Wyoming last year. So hopefully they can get a W on the road tonight.
Yep. And just like they did over in Laramie, that'd be great to see. And, you know, they're not the only ones who are rocking some cool uniform combination. A lot of our fans and viewers, they've got that Boise State spirit as well, and that's something we kind of want to show you if we can roll on the game day traditions part of Bronco Roundup. People sending in their photos to us, and I got to tell you, we looked through a couple of these, and it's been awesome to see. Look at this. Oh, getting the kids into it. And that looks like a cold night out there at Bronco Stadium. But, man, if there's one thing that's true about Bronco Nation, the merch in their closet is overflowing. There's so many
These are the cutest
Boise State apparel options out there. And look at these fans, man.
This is what it's all about. I mean, you got to get the kids, you got to start them early. Hey, you grew up watching Boise State football, and look what's happening now. You're hosting a game day show on the road at Air Force. I mean, you talk about an incredible story. We can talk about yours. But hey, if you want to maybe see your photos, text the word FAN, the 208-321-5614. Game day tradition sponsored by Mountain America Credit Union. One of my favorite segments. You get to see all the hype, all the fans just showing their love for Bronco Nation. They're on the road today, obviously, so a lot of fans will be tuning in from home.
Yeah, and a lot of fans, I'm sure, coaching from the couch, just like we're about to right now. It's time for our Keys of the Game segment. And Austin, we're going to break down a couple of offensive and defensive things that we think Boise State needs to do in order to walk out of here with the W. And on the offensive side of the ball, it starts with winning the battle in the trenches. It's one of those things that against a very physical defensive front with Air Force, they have to win that battle to open up gaps for Dylan Riley, Sire Gaines, Malik Sherrod to run the football.
Bronco Roundup Keys to the Game is sponsored by your local Ford stores.
And there is the Bronco keys to the game stinger. Now, I do want to get back into those in just a second. We've got the battle of the trenches, as we mentioned, that's critical to win that run game, win the battle up front. The other thing, too, feed Chris Marshall the ball. He's 6'3", 211 pounds, and the man has a size advantage over just about every defensive back on the Air Force roster.
Other members of the group staff include the Deputy Group Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Isabel Beaulieu from South Carolina, and the Group Chief of Staff, Lieutenant Colonel Mark Twain from Moraga, California. The second furthest row will be second.
I know it's getting loud out there, Jordan. Gotta feed Chris Marshall. I completely agree for that keys to the game for the Boise State Broncos. And I agree with you. You got to win the battle in the trenches. As much as it is so boring to talk about, nobody wants to hear, hey, let's talk about the offensive line. Let's talk about the defensive line. Nobody wants to talk about the battle in the trenches, right? But on both sides of the football, that is 100% a key to the game. Offensively, that's how you open up the run game, which leads to the pass game, which leads to the entire Boise State Bronco offense exploding for what Bronco Nation wants to see. On the defensive side of the football for Boise State, this is one of the more complex, crazy offenses to try and figure out. And the biggest thing you have to do against Air Force is win the battle up front, because the first option in that triple option is a fullback dive. If you can't stop the fullback dive, that leads to many other options in that triple option to be successful. The pitch, the quarterback taking it himself. So the defensive line up front has to win the battle early and often. Look for Boise State to have short gains on first and second down, leading to third and long, because like I said earlier, the triple option is not meant to play from behind or be third and long. The other keys to the game on the defensive side for Boise State is going to be trust. I used this word earlier because in the triple option, you have to trust every single one of your players. Notriani talked about it. The second that you try to do somebody else's job, you turn around and the Falcons are running for a touchdown. So as much as you want to go be athletic and go make a play, you've got to trust every single one of your teammates, whether it's the linebackers, the safeties, the corners, the nickels, the defensive line. Everyone's got to trust in one another to do their job, stay disciplined, and limit this triple option to, let's say, under 200 yards rushing. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I think that'd be a win for that Boise State defense. And like you said, Austin, I mean, a big part of this is communication. Everybody has to be able to do their job out there and have faith that their teammate is going to do it too. That communication part is key. Middle linebacker Marco Notriani, he's got the green dot, which means he can hear the defensive coordinator talking into his helmet. He's been an excellent communicator when it comes to relaying messages, shifting the defensive line, seeing things that are happening. So he's going to be critical to get that information, that intel out there there, whatever he's seeing, and relaying it to the rest of the guys. And hey, we're just about 15 minutes out from game time. We'll just see how this Boise State team shakes out in their first conference game of the season, and likely their last against Air Force. And before we do go, Austin, we've got that injury report. One of the players we were so excited about heading into the season, Breezy Dubar, still listed as out ahead of this game.
Yeah, head coach Spencer Danielson talked about it on Monday. He was not able to practice this week, which is a week-by-week basis, and it's really unfortunate because that's just yet another piece of this Boise State rushing attack that can really help in being explosive and being such a big-time rushing attack. So no Breezy Dubar. A couple of other guys out as well as the Bronco is getting hyped up for the game. Just under 15 minutes. Jordan, I know we got to do this at the end of the show. Got to have predictions. We kind of talked about this earlier. I'll let you go first again. You can go ahead and tell me your prediction, and then we'll go with mine.
Yeah, I mean, hey, watching both these teams throughout the last 15 years, I mean, both of them know how to score. They're no strangers to the end zone. It feels like defense, a lot of the times, takes a back seat. My prediction, 38-31 Boise State. I think they get it done on the road, but I think it's going to be kind of a slugfest to walk out of here with that dub. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great prediction just considering the history between these two, and you of all people would definitely know. I got the Broncos pulling away a little earlier than you do, 41-31, and they kind of cruise in the fourth quarter. I think the rushing attack of Boise State does a lot better than the rushing attack when we talk about running backs of the Air Force Falcons. So it's yet to see, obviously, as we are almost there. Boise State looking to get conference road victory #1 on the season. Can't wait for this one. So jealous that you're on the field. I wish I was there with you.
All right, Austin, we'll send it back to you. The national anthem is underway.
National anthem underway out in Colorado Springs. What an exciting time. Opening play of the Mountain West Conference. Boise State, the daunting triple option against Air Force. We are just moments away from kickoff. Of course, we'll have all the coverage for you right here on Channel 7 after the game, post-game press conference, what Jordan has to say about the game, my reaction, his reaction, and of course, we got that all for you right here on Channel 7. Thanks so much for tuning in to Bronco Roundup Game Day. Go Broncos.